And if any of you guys don't have a foam roller, another thing that really helps too is just a rolled up beach towel, or you can do these things on the floor also, just a heads up for anyone who doesn't have one. And then today, we're gonna focus a lot on shoulders and then hip mobility, legs, especially shelter in place, kind of being stuck at home. It's really easy to get pretty tight. And then these two will also be here just helping us along. So like Kara said, any questions, feel free to ask. So, and yeah, we're gonna do questions at the end. Jesse will be here to answer some questions too, so feel free. So first thing we're gonna start with, you can go ahead and just sit on the floor, legs crossed, and we're just gonna start kind of slow, warming up our shoulders. Go ahead and just start forward rolls and backward rolls. Just kind of taking that time. If you feel any pops or clicks, it's okay. If you feel any sharp pain through any of this, go ahead and dump out of it. And then backwards. A lot of these joints, we haven't done this movement in a while. Perfect. Sitting down, making sure we have good posture, core is engaged, and we're breathing all the way down into our diaphragm. And then we're just gonna go ahead and do a lateral bend over to our right side. So right hand on the floor, left hand up, and then just bringing that all the way over. Should feel a stretch kind of through your lats, serratus anterior muscles. It's really easy to cave forward. So keep your chest high. And if you want to, you can look up at your hands. Really reaching, just warming up lateral sides, spine, and the shoulders. Awesome. I can see all of you guys, that's great. And then go ahead and switch over to the left side. That same thing. Left hand down, right hand up, all the way over. Keeping that chest nice and high. And through all of this, just being mindful, anything that's really tight, just kind of pay attention to that if you're more tight on the right side or that left side. And then awesome, back to center. Go ahead and place your hands behind you, and we're gonna do a little bit of a back bend. So hands behind you, shoulders back, bring your chest forward, and just slowly back bend. You can drop your head if you want to, or just, again, mobilizing those shoulders. And through all of these slower movements, really paying attention to your breath. Deep breaths all the way down into the diaphragm, keeping that core engaged. And then come back to center. Next thing we're gonna do, hands going straight up, interlocking those hands and palm straight to the ceiling. Being mindful if your shoulder blades are all the way up into your ear, or if you're leaving that space. So engaging your shoulders. Perfect. And hold. And back down. And the last one we're gonna do, just sitting to kind of warm up the shoulders, is right arm underneath the left. And then our goal is to touch our palms together. If you can't, that's okay. You might see this one in yoga a lot, but it really will get the shoulders up or back. Yep, and if you want to, you can also hold this way if it's too much of a stretch. Couple ways you can do this. You can lift the elbows up and then pull those hands away from your face, or you can also bring those shoulders forward with you. You'll just feel different stretches in your back. All right, perfect, and go ahead and switch. So now we're gonna have the left arm underneath the right. And then if you want to, you can lift up, pull those hands away from your face. I'll kind of go at an angle so you guys can see it. If you have really tight traps, this will definitely hit that for you, any of those muscles in the upper back. Perfect. Alrighty, so if you want to, you can go ahead and shake that out a little bit. A couple of things with foam rolling. One is that diaphragm breathing. So breathing all the way into the belly is super important. And then another thing is core control. So I'll go ahead and show it to you guys. You can do it with me. Go ahead and lay on your back. Yep, perfect. Knees bent. And then kind of just pay attention to where your core is, where your low back is. A lot of the times we have this arch in our low back. So press your low back into the mat, and you can put your hands right on your hip bones and play around with that movement of forward with the arch back, and then the back flat with your core engaged. So if you can kind of feel that rotation, we really want our core locked in and engaged for all of the foam rolling, because that will stabilize our back throughout the whole thing. So you can just kind of play around with that a little bit. You can go side to side. Alrighty, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So go ahead and grab your foam roller. The first thing we're gonna do is the vertical angels. And then Jesse, if I'm here, is that okay? Okay, perfect. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and sit on the weight and a tailbone on the end of the foam roller. If you feel really wobbly, you can put your feet out a little bit wider. And then we're gonna roll all the way down. And before we get started, make sure that your head is on the foam roller all the way down to your tailbone. So everything should be nice and stable. And then checking in, core engaged, low back pressed. And then from here, go ahead and place your hands right out to the outside, just resting on the ground. Palms are gonna be facing up, almost like the shape of a T. And go ahead and just hang out here. First of all, you should be noticing some of that pec tightness in the front. A couple of things to pay attention to: that low back pressed into the foam roller, chin also tucked so that our neck is nice and stretched or elongated. And then go ahead and bend your elbows so you're at a 90-degree angle, and do that exact same thing, resting that onto the mat. Making sure your hand and your elbow is parallel to the mat. A lot of the times we're at a funky angle, really vertical, so we want that perfectly parallel to the ground. And then go through some movements, keeping your hands as close as you can to the ground, pressing those up behind your head as far as you can away from your toes, and then pulling them back to that neutral position in that 90-degree bend. And then we're just gonna go through a couple of those on your own, stretching all the way out behind you, trying to keep those hands on the mat, and then back down to that 90. One thing to keep in mind on that extended position, it's really easy to get the shoulders into our ears and pull that really far forward. So make sure your shoulders are away from your ears, that you're keeping a good space. Perfect, about 2 more of those. Going all the way forward. This should be kind of helping open up the arms, loosen up the pecs in the front. Alrighty, so this next one's gonna take a little bit of balance. I believe you guys can all do it. We're gonna bring our hands out wide into that same T, and then spread your feet just a little bit. And now, rather than having the foam roller right along your spine, we're gonna roll our body to the right, so that foam roller goes onto our left shoulder blade. So now we're just rolling our upper back, and then go over to the left side as far as you want to, keeping good balance, keeping your core engaged. Roll into the right side, and then over to the left. This is where it's really important that we keep that core engaged, stabilizing our low back, helping to keep that balance. This is also a good indicator if you feel one side is a little bit tighter than the other. And then go ahead, everyone roll over to the left. So our body's on the left, foam rollers on the right side. And then go ahead and look over to your right hand. Perfect, hold, 3, 2, 1, and then roll over to the other side. So body's on the right, foam rollers on the left. Look over to your left hand and hold, 3, 2, 1, and then come back to center. and then slowly come up, and we're going into our next thing. So that feels pretty good. Kind of helps warm up the shoulders, especially in the front. If we have a lot of rolled shoulders, it helps to open that up. So the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna get a little bit of the neck and then get into some more arm positions. So go ahead and lay on the foam roller, almost like a pillow. So we're gonna put it right in the arch of your neck. Perfect. And then knees will stay bent. Kind of check in, making sure that core is engaged. And we're gonna start, hands you can put wherever you want. We're focusing on the neck. So give me some yeses. So we're gonna look up to the ceiling and then looking down all the way to our toes. And we're just going through a limited neck rotation on those really tight neck muscles. This is really helpful, specifically with headaches, people who hold that stress on their neck and shoulders. That's where I hold it. So this one is a lifesaver with headaches. And then we're gonna switch, we're gonna do nose, so looking left and to the right. And just taking your time, rolling through.
We
Being
could do this
mindful of
all
what
day.
side is tighter. Yes. Yep. And then go ahead and bring your chin to your left shoulder. And then we're gonna do the exact same thing. Those yeses up and down. But now we're just isolating it a little bit more on the left side. And then some nose. Perfect. And then when you're ready, go ahead and move over to that right side. Same thing. So right chin to right shoulder with those yeses and those no's. I find these muscles are really hard to stretch. So the foam roller is really, really helpful with this. Awesome. Alrighty guys, so now we're gonna slowly transition. Move your whole body onto the side, keeping the foam roller right at your neck. Hopefully this works with the headphone. Oh yeah, we should be good. And then both hands out in front of you. Knees, you can leave like a 90-degree bend. And then we're gonna just start with some arm rotations here. So whatever arm is on top for you, just circle through and start to kind of pay attention to what your full range of motion is with your shoulder. If you've had injuries in the past, overtraining, if it's really tight or if it's weak, you might see differences with that range of motion. And whatever way you were going, go ahead and switch sides. One thing, keeping that core really tight and the hips stacked on top of each other will be helpful. And then one more circle. Alrighty, then come back to that neutral. The next thing we're gonna do is pull my right hand's on top. So I'm gonna pull my right hand all the way across my body, almost like a bow and arrow. And then over to the other side. And you can open it up and hold that, trying to get that top hand resting on the ground. And then go ahead and look back to the hand that's on the ground. So this is a little bit of a spinal twist, and it's also really opening up the shoulders. Again, it's really easy for us to lose that form and that top hip to go with the leg. So keeping that core engaged and holding that position the whole time. And then here, just taking those deep diaphragm breaths all the way into the belly. When you're ready, come back to that neutral. And then we're gonna go ahead and switch to the other side, however you wanna do that. Perfect. So that same thing, we're gonna start with just those arm circles. All the way around. Kind of paying attention if this one's tighter, less tight. And then go ahead and switch. All right, and then when you're ready, that same thing, that bow and arrow, so pulling back all the way across your body, trying to rest that opposite hand onto the mat, and then looking back and forward. And that core nice and tight and hips stacked. If you feel any of that numbness or tingling, go ahead and rest and then get back into it when you're ready. It's pretty common with this one. Alrighty, and then come back to neutral. And now, while we're already down here, we're gonna also foam roll the lats. So the lats are kind of back behind you and then down the side. Big sheets of muscle that can get really tight with a lot of pulling, different movements trying to hold the shoulders in the right spot. These feel really good to foam roll, but we don't do it enough. The best way to do this is lay over the foam roller, almost like you're gonna strike a pose. And right there, that's your lat muscle. The legs, I like to keep mine nice and bent, but you can do that however you want to. And we're gonna just roll forward and backwards onto that muscle.
Speaking of those spicy spots.
Yes, exactly. Yep, and then just how Kara said, when you feel that spicy spot, which is just a trigger point, really tight muscle, go ahead and hang out there. That's the point of foam rolling, is it shows you how tight your muscles are. If you feel that tight spot, go ahead and grab the other hand, and you can also stretch a little bit more. We call this the pin and stretch.
I'm like, wait, I want the pink roller.
Yes. Also, if you guys have a hard foam roller at home, feel free to switch it to a beach towel or something, or a softer foam roller if you have it, if it's really hard to roll through.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. And then you can go forward and backwards, so you can also rotate your body forward and then back. So just play around with that. You can get all the way up into your armpit. Down, you can get into your ribs a little bit, but just be mindful of that. Those are pretty sensitive. Again, if you find that spicy spot really tight, go ahead and pin that muscle and then stretch and pull right there. We're gonna hang out for a couple seconds. Alrighty, we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. Does anybody have questions so far? Okay. If you have questions, feel free to ask them. That exact same thing, strike your pose. These can stay bent. And then you're right there, you can roll all the way into the armpit and down. When you find that spicy spot, grab the opposite hand, pull. Really important again here, keeping that core engaged, because this is kind of a hard form to hold for a long time when those muscles are tight. So be mindful of that. And you can also roll that forward and backwards. All right, and then slowly come on up from that. So now we're going to transition to thoracic extension. This is one of Jesse's favorite. We teach in the office all the time. And this one is really helpful for opening up those shoulders and pulling those arms back. So there's a couple ways to do this. I'll teach you the first way. We're going to have the foam roller on our spine, kind of right, like brow line, mid-back. Your legs are going to stay bent, feet are going to stay planted. And then we're going to go ahead, foam roller right at that mid-back, keeping that core engaged. Interlock your hands, and then just pull those straight back as far as you can, whatever your flexibility is, making sure that your neck is nice and stable, chin tucked, and then your head all the way to your tailbone is a straight line. A lot of times I see a bent neck, or we just let it hang. So we want to keep that in a nice straight line. You might get some pops or clicks, and then come back to center. Roll the foam roller up a little bit more. So now we're going to be kind of shoulder blade region, and then that exact same thing. So it's almost like we're trying to hit vertebrae by vertebrae, hitting those muscles. And then when you're ready, move it up a little bit more. If anybody's feeling a lot of neck tension, you can either take a break and go back to it, or you can put your hands right behind your neck and just support them a little bit. Here, making sure our elbows are not going to the ground, so we're still opening up in our back. Perfect. And then, that's kind of the first option. The second option looks pretty similar. It helps to get a little bit more extension. So we're gonna do the same thing, foam roller in the mid-back, one leg bent, one leg straight. And now rather than our hips resting on the ground, we're gonna lift our hips off of the floor. So now it's almost straight from our shoulders all the way down to our foot. Core is engaged, and then that exact same stretch. And then when you're ready, back, roll it up a little bit more. And you can hit any point between your mid-back all the way up to your neck. If you go a little bit lower, it is hard to hold that balance and it just hurts. So we don't recommend that. Yep, and again, if you need to, hands behind your neck and extending at the elbows. Alrighty, so when you guys ready, slowly come on up. That's what I have to help with the shoulders. This stuff is super helpful to do a couple times a week, especially with shelter at home, being stuck at home. It's really easy to get in this position right here. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna target legs with some hip stretches and mobility. If you guys want to, you can grab water, kind of that time, that switch. So the next thing we're gonna do here is the first thing we're gonna work on is internal rotation. So we have internal and external rotation with our hips. The best way to do this is hands behind you, and then feet spread apart a little bit wide, and then toes, bring them up to your knees. And we're gonna just slowly bring the left knee down to that right heel. And then back to center, and then that right side. So it's really easy to want to kind of flop them over. Try to keep both hip bones and glutes planted on the ground, so the only thing moving is that right leg, back to center, and then that left leg. Should be feeling a stretch all along the outside of your hips, maybe into your glutes a little bit. And back, and just take your time, kind of going side to side. Also for everyone with like knee pain and tightness, a couple of things you can do is you can change that angle and play with that a little bit, and then really make sure your toes are up to your knees, because it helps take the tension off of your knee. Mine are really tight. Perfect. So this is a little bit of a static stretch. And now the next thing we're gonna do, bring the hands out in front of you. Still keeping on our heels. Now we're gonna rotate both legs over to the left side. So if you ever heard of 90-90s or windshield wipers, that's what it is. And then we're gonna be over to the left side. We want a 90-degree angle with the leg in front, 90-degree angle with the leg behind. Yeah, that looks good. If you guys need more space too, feel free to do that. And then it's really easy to kind of lean over to the side. So trying to sit up nice and straight, good posture, shoulder blades engaged, back and down, core engaged.
This is very natural. We all feel like this all the time.
All the time. And then for more of a stretch, we're gonna lean over the left or whatever foot's in front. So my left foot's in front. So we're gonna lean over that one. I'm gonna go down onto my forearms. And you should feel kind of right into that left glute, maybe a little bit of hamstring, some IT band tightness. And if it's just too much or it's hurting your knee, one, you can play with that angle or feel free to sit up. That totally works too. If you want to, you can also walk those hands out and get a complete stretch, arm flexion all the way out, leaning over that front leg. And these are those perfect times to just take those deep breaths into the belly, really trying to relax those muscles because we naturally want to fight that tightness. And then when you're ready, walk those hands back, all the way up to that good posture sitting. With those legs back to that neutral position. And then we're gonna rotate over to our right side or whatever leg is next for you. Same thing, that front leg we wanna make sure is really far down. We're able to sit up straight, core is engaged, and then lean forward. If you want to, onto your forearms. Also, if you can, it's really easy to round our back. So try to engage your core and keep a flat back. Challenge that stretch a little bit more. And then when you're ready, walk those hands out if you want to. If you want to just stay in that second position, go for it. And then just taking those deep breaths. All of my runners too, these muscles are usually pretty tight. So this is great stuff to do before running, after running. Helps to just loosen those up, bring new blood flow to that area, recover a little bit faster. And then slowly walk your hands back to neutral. And then we're gonna do one more of a hip stretch before we get into the foam rollers. So go ahead and lie on your back. And then lay one leg straight. And then I'm gonna start with my right leg. So bringing your right leg, pulling that forward into your chest. Keeping that core engaged. It's really hard to keep that low back pressed onto the floor in this position, but try to do so. And then, you might have to watch me for this one, but we're going to bring our left leg up towards our chest, and then our right leg we're going to almost put horizontal. So we're putting our right leg on top of our left. If you guys have questions with this one, feel free to ask. From here, you can either hold that to get that deep stretch into the right glute, or you can grab through, hold onto your knee or your shin, and pull that even more into your chest. Whatever your flexibility is. And then here, keeping that chin tucked, core engaged. And then relax. We'll do the same thing on the other side. You need to shake out the legs a little bit. So we're pulling that left leg into the chest. Holding for about 5 seconds. And then we're going to do the same thing. So bringing our right leg up to our chest. So our left leg is in front. And then it's pulling that right leg into your chest for that stretch. You can hold that there, or if you want to, you can grab through your leg, grabbing at your shin, your hamstring, whatever you can grab onto, pulling that in for a deeper stretch. And And if you want to, you can also rock almost side to side just a little bit, and you'll feel that stretch change and find different spots. So holding for a couple more seconds. And then go ahead and relax. Slowly come on up. And now we're going to foam roll the legs, the glutes, the quads, hamstrings, adductor muscles. So we're gonna start with the glutes. Go ahead and sit on your foam roller. Perfect, legs out in front of you, parallel. And then we're gonna rotate, we'll start with our left leg. So rotate over to the left. So just your left glute is laying on the foam roller. And then right knee nice and bent, leg with the arm behind you to help stabilize and support that. And from here, go ahead and just roll forward and backwards. With foam rolling, any muscle, any fascia, roll, because it's really good for it. If you ever roll on top of bony, like prominences, when it hurts too, it's not super helpful. So whenever we get into the kind of that hip bone area or when we get to our knees, it's not helpful, but any of that big muscle tissue is perfect. Second option, you can also bring that left leg up and onto the knee, almost like the stretch that we just did. And then that same thing, rolling forward and backwards.
Oh, yeah.
Again, if you feel those spicy spots, we definitely feel those with glute muscles. Go ahead and hang out there, hold that, and then grab that knee and pull that towards your chest. So what we're doing is that same concept of pinning it and then stretching it. And it'll just help to open that up a little bit more. And then go ahead and relax, find another spot. Another thing you can do is when you find that spicy spot or that trigger point, go ahead and hang out there and then contract that glute muscle and relax. So go through a series of those, like 5 seconds contracting it and then relaxing it. So both of those methods, that pin and stretch or the contract relax, are both really helpful for loosening up those tight muscles. Alrighty, and let's go ahead and switch over to the other side. That same thing, that right leg nice stretched, left leg bent. Again, then again, if you guys ever have questions or you don't know what we're doing or you maybe can't see us, just let us know. Perfect, when you're ready, you can bend that right leg. And that same thing, rolling through. My glutes are also really tight. Yeah. If we're not using a lot of these muscles, especially just stuck being at home, they tend to get tight a lot faster. So this is one easy thing that we can do every day.
Right, sitting on them does not count.
If only it would. Perfect. If you want to, you can do that pin and stretch on those spicy spots. And you can also do that contract, relax method. Spend about 5 more seconds on this side. Alrighty. And now we're just gonna get hamstrings a little bit. We always forget the hammies. Best way to do this is you only need a little bit of your foam roller. So bringing your right leg on top of the foam roller, kind of towards the end of it. And then your left leg is gonna be bent. Hands are gonna be right behind you. And then one thing, keeping that toe flexed. So towards your knee, so you kind of feel into your calf hamstring. And then go ahead and lift up and then roll just forward and backwards, right on that hamstring muscle. You can go forwards and backwards. You can also go side to side, all the way into the IT band, into those inner adductor muscles. I always forget the hammies when I do this. All right. And when you're ready, go ahead and switch to the other side. So going forwards, backwards, side to side. Trying to keep the shoulders out of your ears. It's almost like pressing off of your hands. Same thing, core is engaged. If you need to, this is a good time to switch from that soft to that harder one to get the hamstrings. Alrighty, so now onto the quads. The best thing with the foam roller. So the best way to do this is we're gonna almost get into a plank position. Again, you only need a little bit of that foam roller. And so I'm gonna start with my right leg, bringing my hands out in front of me. I'll scoot back so you guys can still see me. Just like so, putting the right leg on the foam roller, making sure you have a good plank position. If you want to, you can bend the other leg, and then just like Kara's doing, you're gonna just roll forward and backwards. And then take that time. Quads, usually we have a lot of those spicy spots, especially IT band tightness, pulling on your knee, pulling on your hips. So just taking that nice sweet time finding those spots. And just like all the other ones, we can go forward and backwards. We can also go side to side, which is almost best with the quad muscles. So we would just over to the outside, IT band, rolling over into the inside. And for a little bit of an anatomy lesson, all the fascia and the muscle runs vertical. So from our hips towards our knees. And so whenever we foam roll, if we go up and down, we're just pancaking that muscle. But if we actually go side to side, it's breaking it up a little bit more because now we're going perpendicular. So it hurts a little bit more, but it breaks it up a little bit better. Now, if you want to be a rock star and you found that spicy spot, you can also pull that leg back almost like you're doing a quad stretch. And the same thing, we're pinning it and then we're stretching it.
Can we?
Yep, so that means all of the weight is going to be on the leg that's on the foam roller. Really making sure you have a good plank position, pulling back and grabbing onto it. And if it feels awkward or if it hurts, like there's that sharp pain, dump out of it. But if you want to just get that really deep stretch, that one will get it for you.
Do you want a strap?
Yeah, exactly. Strap, a shirt you have laying around to help pull. All right. Spend a little bit more time on this side, and then we'll go ahead and switch. Always the quads. They always get me. Alrighty, let's go ahead and switch over to the left side. And then feel free to go all the way up pretty close to your hip and all the way down pretty close to your knee. We have a lot of thigh muscle that we miss. Same thing, good plank, core is engaged, shoulders out of the ears. How's it going, guys? Looks like everyone's got it, from what I can see.
Right. When we're doing classes with everyone on the floor, that's what we see a lot of is.
Yeah, rooms.
Yeah, sometimes feet flailing in the air.
All right, so we're going up and down. When you're ready, go ahead and side to side, all the way into that IT band, those fibers, all the way into the inside. It's almost a bit of a workout too. You're holding this plank, core is engaged, stabilizing the body. And then work your way all the way down to your knee, rotating back and forth. Slowly working your way back up. Up into the hip.
The crowd, that's my man.
Awesome job, guys. This is probably the hardest one.
It's the best one.
But it is the best one. Alrighty, same thing. If you want to, pin and stretch on that spicy spot. So the leg completely dependent, laying on the foam roller, pulling back behind you. If you're comfortable, if you want to. We'll just hang out here for a little bit longer. Alrighty. So the next thing we're gonna do is now we're gonna get the inside of our leg, so these adductor muscles. There's a lot of ways to do it. The best way that we have found is we're gonna do that same plank position out in front, but now we're gonna put our leg over top of it. So the foam roller is laying right next to you vertically. And then your knee, your foot is laying right on top of it, so you guys can see it. And then we're gonna actually roll outwards, so the roller is going up towards the inner thigh and back. And you're getting the groin muscles, inner thigh, adductor muscles. Really making sure you have that good form. It's really easy to twist one way or the other with our back. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and switch. And then same thing. So foam roller right underneath the leg, the foam roller laying vertically next to you. And then just slowly rolling all the way out and all the way back in. Then keep going, about 10 more seconds. All right, guys, then go ahead and relax. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna get our calves really quick. This one's pretty straightforward. It's kind of like the hamstrings. So calf right on top. You can put both of them on, get both of them at the same time, or you can just do one. And then we're just rolling forward and backwards, side to side. If you find that there's not enough weight to kind of get a good stretch into your calf, I like to also put one foot on top of the other. So just add a little bit more of like a weight element to it so you can get a little bit of a better stretch. And then also play around with that plantar flexion, dorsiflexion. So bringing the toes up to your knee, stretching them all the way out, finding all those tight spots. This one usually doesn't feel the best either. When you're ready, go ahead and switch to the other side. And when our calves get really tight, we miss a lot of that extension and movement through our ankle. So a lot of runners, a lot of taking just repetitive steps our calves are really tight, it limits that movement through our ankle. So although they're a smaller muscle, they're really important to make sure they're nice and loose. Alrighty, go ahead and relax. And then I'm going to teach you guys one more way to get the calves. We call this the bone saw calf mobilization. Another pretty common one we teach in the office. I think this is Jesse's favorite. Yep. So the best way to do this is we're going to get on all fours. And what we're going to do to stretch the calf muscle is we're using the shin from our other foot. So we're just nice on our all fours. We're going to stretch our left calf first. So go ahead and bring your right leg up and then all the way over. So if your hips are tight, it's going to be a little tricky. And then place the shin bone right on that calf muscle. And then we're actually just scissoring it back and forth. And then Jesse, if you want to, do you want to actually come forward so they can see you? He's a master at this one.
Here.
Yep. And then we're just scissoring it back and forth with the shin. Feel free to go all the way down into almost that Achilles heel. And then go all the way up. So it's crazy what our own body can do, right, for stretching. Yep. Scissoring it just back and forth. Right?
I'm like, oh.
Another thing to keep in mind, if you can see Jesse's bottom foot, it's nice and loose. A lot of times we try to keep that really, really tight. So try to keep that bottom foot nice and loose while you scissor it back and forth. And you know you're getting it when it feels like it hurts so good. Yeah. And then when you're ready, go ahead and switch to the other side. Thank you, Jesse. I'm on this side, okay.
I feel like we need to get you some pants with your logo across the butt for that.
This is the most embarrassing, but correct angle for this exercise.
That's awesome. Alrighty, and then go ahead and relax. So we hit almost everything. Another muscle that gets really tight is our hip flexors. So with sitting, a lot of times they're kind of hinged forward. Those get really tight, low back pain, hamstring tightness, all this stuff. So we're gonna hit the hamstrings a little bit. The first one we're gonna do is just a lunge stretch. So I'm gonna start with my right foot placed in front of me, left foot behind me. Making sure our hips are faced forward. I'm kind of at an angle, but if you see them, their hips are nice and forward. And then hands up. If you want to, you can interlock them. And we're gonna lean over to our right side because our right foot's in front. And then from here, lift the heel off the ground and then back onto the mat. So what you should be feeling is everything along what for me would be my left hip flexor. And if you don't feel it, go ahead and try to bring your hips forward. If your hips are really far back at an angle, you're not gonna feel it as much. So really pulling those hips forward.
Don't fall.
Yeah, these usually get really tight and they're not fun to stretch out. You feel like you've had enough of one side, go ahead and get the other side. So our left foot's in front, hips are facing forward, core is always engaged. Interlocking your hands, and we're that lateral bend over our front foot. And then playing with the heel, lifting it on and off of the ground. Great job, guys. Alrighty, and then the last one we're gonna do is the couch stretch, which we need a couch or a wall. It's okay if we use maybe that bench?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome, so Jesse's grabbing a bench. If you guys don't have something like that close to you, we can do a modified one. But this is a great one to also do at home when you have a couch. So best way to do this one is we're going to bring our right foot out in front, and our left foot is going to go behind and then on the couch or on the wall. You can also do this without and just having it straight. If you guys can see Jesse. Maybe. Perfect. You can also see Kara. And then from here, a couple ways to stretch this. So one, keeping good posture. We can lean back towards whatever we're holding and really bring our hips forward. So you'll kind of feel that tightness straight along that psoas muscle. Core is engaged, staying upright. If it hurts on your knee, or if you guys are on hardwood or something, you can roll up your mat, grab some clothes, a blanket, pillow. So that's the first way. Next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to bring our hips forward, and we're going to almost lunge over that front foot to elongate the foot that is on the couch or the wall or whatever you have. And you should feel that same muscle that we just did with the lunge. So this is called the couch stretch or the death stretch, but it feels pretty good. And then when you're ready, go ahead and take your time, switch over to the other side. Yeah. So one foot is straight against the wall, whatever you have, or it's just on the ground. Left foot is out in front, good 90-degree angle. And then pulling our hips back, making sure our hips are nice, straight forward. Core is engaged. And it's a nice quad hip flexor stretch. And then when you're ready, same thing, we're gonna lean forward, really sinking our hips forward to get into that deep lunge. Don't forget to breathe. So when we kind of try to hold our breath because it's really tight, so really breathing through this. All right, and go ahead and relax.
Great
job, guys.
They can't hear it, but we can. There's someone outside right now laughing, and it was very like evil villain laughish. It was very funny.
So let me go ahead and check the time, see if we can add more stuff.
6:24.
Oh, perfect. So we'll go ahead and just end with that. These are great tools for just throughout the next couple weeks to help just stretch those things with the foam roller, with whatever you have at home. We'll leave it open to anybody who has questions if they want to see something again. Any questions about foam rolling, about chiropractic, spine chiropractic, any questions about ChiroFit or Kara's classes. So any of you guys have questions?
I don't have a question, just wanted to say thank you.
Here.
Yep, go ahead.
Thank you.
The same. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. I do have one quick question.
Yeah.
Where do you find the squishier rollers? Mine's really hard, I feel like. So
I know, Shannon, the one I got's crazy hard.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you guys have them?
So these ones, we have the hard ones and the softer ones. We sell these in our office. They also have them on Amazon.
Okay.
Oh, just kidding. Just kidding. They might not have them.
Oh,
They have the harder ones, but these squishy ones we do sell in our office.
okay.
I'm not sure.
And then for foam rolling workshops too, we're going to be doing probably more workshops in the future.
Yeah.
And so just to kind of keep that in your radar, like maybe once a month or something, that we'll be doing more of these. You guys can always bring more questions or you can usually, last time we brought these foam rollers to the foam rolling workshop, so you guys can try them out too with the softer ones and the harder ones.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Was there anything else anyone wanted to learn about foam rolling for next time?
Yeah.
Like, are there any like body parts or anything you guys want to we can focus on for the next one? No? Good?
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try the neck one because I get a lot of headache, so that one seems
Yeah.
to be good.
Yeah. And also, if you ever want to use, sometimes this big foam roller is pretty big for the neck. So if it's a really bad headache too, sometimes just
Yeah.
roll up a shirt or something and just lay on that, or a water bottle or something that's a little bit smaller. And then you can do the same movements through that.
A lot of you should have those little pink balls. Like we have those little massager ball things that we got from a while ago. Does anyone still have one of those? I have a big bag. I have a big bag of them if anyone needs one. And those are great for doing like those little areas too.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Wait, will you guys hang out for a second for a selfie?
Oh, cute.
All right, ready? 1, 2, cheese. One more time. So I'm looking at the right camera.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for coming out.
Bye. Kate, we didn't get to meet you. Oh, bye, Kate S. Thank you so much. Oh, hi.
Thank you.
People can come in.
Yeah.
That was great.
Thank you. Bye, Denise. Thanks for joining us today. And we're going to end.
Perfect.